Okay, today we are going to discussing about the variables. Okay, how to define a variable and how to consume the variables in Mulesoft. First, I'm going to stop the server. Okay. And here there is a palette called variable is the palette, set variable and remove variable, track the set variable, and you can take the variable name here, name and value. And the name means, example, if we take city, and value is anything, whatever the hard coded, also hard coded, and you want to setting as a dynamically, then there is a syntax. Go to the mule expression language that we discussed in the morning, right? Fx, click on fx, then within the hash bracket only we are going to write the syntax. What is the syntax, right? Control spacebar, if we enter, it will display the syntax on it. Attributes, all the dynamically, if you are retrieving, there is a syntax called start with attributes. Attributes dot query pcaps rams dot whatever the key which you are passing. So variable nothing but a name value pair. So this is the key value. Attributes are coming from the source system. That is also key value pair combination. Now whatever the key they are passing, then same will be configured in our Mulesoft. Now example, if they are passing name of the city, if we define, so name of city may be anything like any city. If they are passing, we are consuming the data. Now if we are consuming the data here, attributes dot query params dot name of city, this is the key value, and this is the variable key value. And if you want to consume in some way, example, take one set payload, drag the set payload here, and if you are defining variable here and you want to consume here within the mule expression language, syntax is, example coming, go back here, syntax is vars dot, what is the key which you are defined, name of city, vars dot city, not name of city, that is query params. This is the key, name of city. Whatever the variable which are defined, automatically it is going to be populated here dynamically. This is everything should be dynamically. So this is the key, this is the value coming as a dynamically. So what is the syntax which you are going to define? Attributes dot query params dot, this is the key. Okay, and once value assigned to this variable, I want to reuse it in here. What is the syntax is vars dot city, so that whatever the value they are sending, we are simply receiving only. So whatever the before what we discussed, that is everything should be hard coded. So in real time we are not using any hard code, everything should be dynamically only. So if we want to define it dynamically or consuming the dynamically, everything should be within the hash bracket only. So I'm going to write within the hash bracket. The same for if you want to run more. These are the syntax, mule expression language syntax. We should follow the syntax standards. Now go to here, go to http localhost. Okay, stop this, take http connection details 7489 Still running. Now what is the key here? Name of city. Example, take name of city. Here, see, if you want to pass any query parameters in the Postman, option is here only. This is the URL, http localhost 7489. Then click on params tab. If you click on params tab, it will display the key value pair combination. Then query parameter key is, this is the one. Name of city is the query parameter key. Take this one. You can pass with the key column. Just if you're passing, the value is going to be appended here. See, question mark. Query parameter always start with the URL, question mark only. So you are querying something, this is the value, and this is the value which I passed. Okay, now if you send a request, the value is going to be assigned in set payload, because we are defining here and we are consuming here variable value. Now you can see the Bangalore. The same way, if you want to consuming in the subflow also, subflow, drag the subflow, and if you want, you can keep it here, the set payload palette. And how we are going to communicate it from main flow to subflow? By using flow reference. Drag the flow reference, keep it here. This is the flow reference, is going to be called to subflow. Flow name we need to select here. This is the subflow. So double check with whether you have selected correct subflow or not. F3 or shortcut. This is going to be highlighted like this one. Okay. The same flow if you want to send, then send a request anywhere restarted. Just send the request. You get the same output. There is no difference. But variable I have defined a main flow and consuming in the subflow also. The same if you want to implement a private flow also, you can delete this one, select the private flow. There is the flow palette. Drag the flow palette, same set payload. Set payload. Now, what is the syntax? That is variable is the, then variable you want to consume. Expand this one. Just if you want, you can write it. Control space bar. vas dot. What are the names? City which you have defined. Enter. Click on done. Then value is going to be assigned. So flow reference is showing as an error. Just to select what is the name of the flow. This is the name of the flow. Now you can select the name of the flow in the drop down. This is the one. Project to flow. Then right click. Go to reference flow and display the name of the flow. The same flow if you want to test, then you can test it. If you want to modify the other than Bangalore also, you can modify. See. So defining, they are sending that these are the list of properties which I am sending you. Can you please consume in your side? Means how we are going to send consuming by using query parameters. We are going to consuming the data. So this is how we are defining here as a consume query parameters. So like this headers also, if you want, you can consume query parameters. There are a couple of ways they are sending the data. So this is the MEL expression, mule expression language syntax. This is the attributes.query.params, and this is the key. All keys are there sharing before implementing the development, before start the development also. These are the list of keys which are passing as a input parameter. Can you please consuming on it? Then one, this is how we are consuming the data as a input parameters. Then I have reused the input parameters in the multiple flow mule side. So that is the reason I have defined in the variable. Variable is nothing but a reusable component. So same value, I want to reuse it in multiple places instead of writing it multiple times. Keep it that variable and we can reuse it in multiple places only. That is the advantage of the variable. So this name value variable behavior is name value pair. Name is city, which I mentioned, and value coming from the source system. That is nothing but input parameters. I have defined the value here. If you want, you can hard code it also. Normally in city, Bangalore, whatever it may be, if you want, you can hard code it. We can reuse it. That is hard coded thing only. But I want to setting as a dynamically. So this is the dynamically. And the same value variable I have defined here, I'm going to consuming here. Then flow reference is the palette. And if you want to consuming syntax is var_city. This is how we are consuming variable value in wherever you want. Is clear? Any doubt here? Okay. Now this is the flow reference, and the same value if we want to send to the like another connector or anything. Now we will discuss another connector name called VM is the connector name. Virtual machine connector. Connector name called VM. Virtual memory connector. Virtual memory connector. So now you are setting something. VM is the connector. There are a couple of palettes are available related to the VM because this is the connector which you are receiving from the data from browser via HTTP connector. So always HTTP listener will accept the request only browser only. That is nothing but URLs. But VM is the connector. VM is the connector which is communicating via queue. It is communicating via queue path. So what is queue here? One sender, one receiver. That is nothing but a queue. What is the advantage of this one? Because anyway, the same behavior, even HTTP listener also sender receiver only. What is the advantage of this connector? If a sender is sending the data, the receiver is not available. If we are using the VM connector, we won't lose any data. Whatever the data they are sending by using VM connector, this is not a VM connector by using queue connector. This is VM also one of the, this all under messaging connectors only. VM also one of the messaging related connectors. What is the advantage of messaging connectors? What is the advantage of the HTTP connector? Means now example, this is the, I'm going to delete something. Set payload I'm selecting. I'm writing here something now. Okay, and if you run the flow, if you are going to run the flow in your running in the running mode, now I'm sending the HTTP, send the data, something now, post data, HTTP, localhost, or something 7485. Okay, now test. Example, this is the receiver. I'm sending some data, body, some text message. Hi, how are you? I'm going to send the data. Okay, if the receiver is not available, now I'm getting the error messages. See, would not get any response. But while sending, I'm attaching some messages. So can you please send this data to the target system? But unfortunately, receiver is not up and running. The message is not delivered to the receiver. But I lost the message. In this scenario, I lost the message. Where it went? I lost this message. The same kind of mechanism, if you want to implement as by using messaging tools, if the receiver is not up and running, we won't lose the data. Whatever the data which you are sending along with the connector, the message will be storing in the server. If whenever receiver is available, the message is going to be delivered. So like this, what we are doing that if WhatsApp, if we are using WhatsApp messages, then unfortunately mobile is not up and running or turning off. The friends are keep on sending you messages. Whenever you are turning on, all your messages are loading with your mobile. The same way, all the messages are storing in the server level, so that whenever receiver is up and running, all the messages will be loaded. So this kind of mechanism, if you want to implement, there are plenty of messaging connectors are available in the market. So VM is the one of the messaging connector which is supported by Mulesoft. This is all the pending messages are storing in the local server only. That is nothing virtual memory connector. So this is the advantage of the VM connector. Okay. Now HTTP connector is sending the request when the receiver is up and running. If the receiver is not up and running, but we don't know whether the receiver is up and running, and we are keep on delivering the messages, but sending the messages, but messages are not delivered to the receiver. So we are losing the messages. So I want to send as a sensitive information. I don't want to lose that messages. Then go for the messaging tools. Like when you are go to the ATM and withdraw the messages, withdraw some amount, immediately you are getting a messages like some amount has been deducted in an account. Because here banker is the sender, customer is the receiver. Banker saying that this is the compulsory, the message is going to be delivered to the customer. Whether your mobile number is working or not, they don't bother, because you already registered mobile number. By using that registered mobile number, they are sending the messages. When if the message, your mobile number is not up and running, but you are not losing any messages. So whenever your mobile number is up, then all the pending messages you are receiving the messages. Before sending also, they are giving some timestamp. Example, they are sending the messages. Unfortunately, of 6 months or 1 year, mobile number is not working, up and running. Then all the pending messages are storing in the server. So server, there is a limit in the server capacity. If cross the capacity, then server will crash. So before sending also, okay, 10 days, 20 days, 1 month, okay, store in the server. Still, their number is not up and running. The same message will be written back to the sender only. So they won't lose any messages. So these are the sensitive information, all payment related transactions, some other transactions. Based upon the transaction, they are decided to choose messaging related connectors. This is the advantage of the messaging connectors. Okay, there are plenty of connectors are available in the market. VM is the virtual memory connector. This is also one of the messaging related connectors only. So if you drag the VM, there are a couple of palettes are available: consumer, listener, publisher, publish, consumer. What is this one? Publisher means I am sending the message to the receiver, okay, but I am not expecting any confirmation message. Just my responsibility is sending the messages. That is nothing but if a bank people are sending a messages to the promotional offers, okay, not only you, list of registered customers, that time they won't bother whether the promotional message has been received customer or not, whether a mobile number is not up and running also. That is nothing but a publisher, means one-way communication. Just simply they are sending the messages. That is nothing but a publisher. And consumer means if you want to consume the messages in middle of the flow, then consumer will support it. Listener always in the source places. Listener always placed in the source places. Publish consumer means request and response. They're sending the messages and waiting for the response. If you are doing online payment transaction, then after enter your details, click on submit, then we'll get some messages like we are working on this, please wait for, don't refresh, this kind of message which you are facing, right? The same thing in the real time I'm talking about. Publish consumer means they are sending the messages and waiting for the response. That is nothing but a publish consumer. This is the synchronous communication or else two-way communication. This is one-way communication, and we are sending, we won't get any response from the receiver end, and the listener always listening the messages. That is nothing but whatever the listener will support, right? This is the HTTP listener, this is the VM listener. And consumer means I want to consume in the middle of the flow. I want to consuming, then go for the consumer palettes. These are the palettes which are provided by the Mulesoft. These all comes under messaging tools. In the message, there are different connectors are available. VM is the one of the connector. Its behavior is messaging behavior. Okay, now I am going to show you the example how it works internally. Example, I'm writing some my own text messages. If you want, you can set as a dynamically also. Hi, how are you? I have defined here. Example. This is the publisher. I told you that this is the publisher. We are keeping the publisher. Okay. So if you want to establish the connection, plus connector configuration here, plus connector, click on connection, and we need to create the queue name. In real time, customer will share the queue name. On which queue name do you need to post the data? Whatever the data which you are passing as a hi, how are you, the queue will be storing all your messages. Because here HTTP listener we are passing that host details, so port and path, right? Path is the uniqueness, that is sender and receiver. Whatever the browser, this is the sender, and the receiver is maintaining the same path only, same path. If we are changing the path name, definitely it won't deliver to the receiver end. The same scenario here also, queue name is the unique of sender and receiver. Now if you want to create the queue name, click on plus, any queue name, example, test queue, click on create, okay, click on finish, click on OK. There is no limit n number of users if you want you can create. Click on OK. Okay, then come back to here. The queue will be automatically populated here. Sometimes it will take time. Okay, loading time also. Just click on refresh. Just coming back and verify. Sometimes it will take time only to load the data. If it says still facing, then you can enter manually. Sometimes it will take just a queue. Okay, like this automatically it is going to be populated here, whatever the queue which you have created inside the connector configuration. Okay, still it's not updating. Not populated. Sometimes it will take time only. Then I'm going to create. Still it's not. 1 second, restarted, then it loaded sometimes. Give me a minute. So sometimes it will take time only. So if you're facing, then just restart your laptop, then we can work it out. So very rare cases only. Okay. Now you are sending the data, whatever the data which you are passing here, the queue you are delivering to this queue, and this is the publisher, and you want to listener is required. That is, you select the VM is the listener. Okay, listener are always placing the source places. Okay, publisher are always placing in the middle of the flow. Publisher always, you are publishing the queue data, someone has to receive the data. Now here someone is listener. In real time, listener is not available in our places, they are sitting some other places only, but we are learning, right? So that is the reason we are creating the listeners only. Now what data you are, because you are sending the data here, this is the data they are sending, and this is the one receiving, and I want to know my own. And then there is a palette called logger palette, whether what data they are sending. Publisher saying that I'm sending the data, can you please consume the data. Then but whether receiver is receiving or not, I want to know. Then there is a palette called logger palette, logger for your purpose only. Then how they are sending the data, they are setting via payload only. So payload data, if you are defining one palette and you want to consume in some other places, what the mule expression language syntax is? Payload only. Hash payload. Okay, payload means they are sending the data in via payload. I want to consume the data in some other places, then mule expression language is payload. Variable data, they are setting their configure variable palette, then you want to consume in some other places, var_key. The same way, query parameters, if you are setting somewhere, you want to consume means, then query attributes.query.params.key. Key always constant, values are dynamically. These are the dynamically, if you want to consuming and defining these are the syntax we should follow. Okay, now I am setting something in the set payload. Whatever the set payload sending, I am consuming here, but I want to know whether what data they are sending. Then logger is the palette. Logger palette, I have mentioned the syntax called within the hash bracket payload. Okay, what is the queue name here? Test queue is the queue name. So they both are communicating the same queue, right? Test queue and receiver, and also I'm using the test queue here. Okay, I'm using the same test queue. I think it will populate like this. Now you can send a request. Still it's not loaded. Now there is no error. Okay. Now you can send a run the flow. Okay. This is the data which you are passing. Hi, how are you? You are expecting the receiver and also hi, how are you? Now you can send a run the flow. If the queues are not matching, definitely throwing an error. What is the connector name? This one, connector defined. test right 7489. Okay, don't save. This is 7489. I'm not passing any query parameters. Okay, just double check with the server restart deployed or not. Now deployed the application. Now you can send a request. See, hi, how are you? Whether receiver is receiving or not, you can see the data. Hi, how are you? In the logger. This is the logger message will be always displayed in the console. Logger data always displayed in the console only. So in the receiver always consuming the data. If you want, you can write it here also. Your own message also. If you want, you can write it in receiver, because in receiver data is, if you want, you can write it whatever the name you want, payload. So this is within the hash bracket only we want to write the syntax. Okay, then receiver data, just restart it. Log is for your understanding, sir. It is not a mandatory to use that palette. Okay, then send a request. Then you can see the data. See in receiver data. Yes, receiver is consuming the data. Again, this is the publisher. This is the publisher, and this is the listener. Listener always listening the messages someone is sending. Here someone is VM, publisher is the someone. Okay, then again receiver receiving the data, and receiver also after receiving, receiver also sending a confirmation message to the sender. Then go for the publish consumer palette will support, because I told you that publisher only one-way communication. Two-way communication means after sender sending the data, receiver consuming, after receiver consuming and sending a one confirmation message to the sender. Then we can choose the palette called publish consumer palette. This is the one. Then delete this palette. This is only one-way communication. If the sender receiver, example, again receiver send a confirmation message, write this one. This is my confirmation message. How they are sending the message in set payload, and the same message will be delivered to the publisher. Then what message the receiver is sending, I want to know. Take one logger palette. Okay, then what syntax we are using here? After publisher, this is up to your wish. What are the sentence you want? Publisher is payload data, because they are sending the message via set payload only. So set payload, if you are defining here and you want to consume in some place, then payload is the syntax. The same flow if we are running. Now send a request. Now you receive the only how are you, and in the logger also hi how are you only. But you are expecting the final output as receiver output. What is the receiver output? This is my confirmation message is the receiver output you are expecting. This is the final output. So which palette is going to be supporting? Then go to the VM consumer. Then VM consumer, here publish consumer only. Publish consumer advantage is sender is sending, receiver is receiving. After receiver receiving, again receiver send a one confirmation message to the sender. That is nothing but a synchronous communication. Delete this palette. Delete this palette. You can drag this publish consumer. Now publish consumer, you can select the same queue if you want. You can maintain the same queue now. There is no error. Now you can see here, because before we executed this one, same output we got it here. Now you are getting the two different outputs only. Now restart the flow to send the something like that. Yeah, see, you can see this is the hi how are you, This is the message which will deliver to here, and after that this is the receiver one. Receiver send a confirmation message to whom? Listener. This listener always pointing to, this is the publisher. After publisher consuming the data from receiver, what data receiver sent to publisher, I want to know. Then drag the logger palette and verify. After publisher is payload. You can see now, after publisher is payload, this is my confirmation message. Like this, if you want, you can implement one-way communication or two-way communication. One-way communication means just you are sending the data, but you won't get any response from the listener side. And if you are expecting the response from the listener side, then go for the publish consumer palette. This is how we are going to implement the queue. This is also one of the messaging tools. Messaging tools, VM is the connector which is supporting. We don't want to lose the data via queues only. We are going to exchange the data. They have a separate tools, messaging tools also available. I'm going to discuss one more connector also related to the messaging connector. ActiveMQ also messaging connector. I will show you that where all the pending messages are storing. Because here this queue also storing until local server only. So external server VM will support only within the local server. Local server means all the editor Mulesoft configure the one local server. By using the local server only, we are going to deploy our applications. In real time, we are using the deploy in the cloud server. In the cloud, they are configuring all the queue information, whether the message has been delivered or not, why it got delivered, whether in pending messages. This kind of information will be storing in one third-party server they are maintaining, so that they don't want to lose the messages when receiver is not up and running. All the sensitive kind of information, payment, money is the sensitive information. All the sensitive kind of information for customer, they want to share information to the sender and receiver. Most of the scenario, they are going to use the messaging connectors only. That is the advantage of the messaging connector. So this is also one of the connector. This connector will support to the virtual memory, means a local memory. So that is within the server they are maintaining one local memory. They don't want to lose the messages. All the messages will be storing via queues only. That is exchanging via between VM connector. So this is publisher always publishing the data and listener always listening the data. If you are selecting the publish palette, it's only publishing data to the source system. Okay, this is how we are going to use this publisher and consumer. And one more palette called here consumer. Consumer always supporting in the middle of the flow only, not in the listener side. Consumer means I told you, listener nothing but sometimes they are calling as a consumer, receiver, and consumer is what's called listener, consumer, and receiver only. But here consumer means in the scenario, if you are placing the source level also, if you simply drag consumer palette, see it always in the allowing the process level end. It's not allowing the source level. If you are trying to keep it source also, system is not supporting. So listener always placing in the source, but only the difference is listener and consumer is this is also consuming the data, but in the middle of the flow. This is also consuming the data, the source. That is the difference. Consuming means receiving the data. This one also, but where it is receiving in the middle of the flow. If you want to send, then middle of the flow it is going to be receiving. And listener, this is the place we are always receiving the data. This is the advantages. In which scenario do I need to use this one? Do I need to this one? Because they are sending the data, and this is always in the source places. Then you can use this. And if you are running the flow, and in between you are going to communicate with the, some other connectors and get the data by using the data, and you are processing your flow. In that scenario, you are going to use the consumer. So flow, because this is the HTTP connector. Example, this is the HTTP connector. Listener, you are receiving the data, and they are sending some data. Example, employee information. Okay, that includes the employee ID, name, address, and but target system is expecting employee, because source system sending employee ID, name, address. The same we are collecting by using HTTP listener. Example, but target system expecting along with the employee ID, name, address, employee job also. Because they are expecting in the target 4 elements, source system sending the 3 elements. From where do I need to collect the other one? So internally you are going to call to the other connectors and communicate them and get the whatever the employee job they are expecting, that particular value we are expecting and collecting and consolidated listener data and this consumer data and return to the target system. That scenario it is going to be supported as a consumer. Okay, please remember in this which scenario means consumer and listeners are terminology wise is different common, so both are consuming the data only. But if you are placing the listener are always allowing the source places only, consumer always allowing the process places only. So both are receiving now, but this is the middle of the flow. In between, the flow is running in between. You are consuming some data, and whatever the data which you are processing, along with the data, and after consuming the data, they both are merging and return to the target system. That is nothing but a consuming the data. Middle of the flow, you are communicating with some other system, collecting and processing, and return to the target system. That is nothing but a consumer one. But this is the always placing in the source level only. This is always allowing the process level only. This is nothing but a consumer and this is nothing but a receiver. Any doubt here? Okay, now I'm going to show you the example. Okay, now you are using publish consumer, you are expecting the data. Now you are using publisher also. One more publisher I'm going to create here. Okay. Or else if you want, yeah. Flow reference also we can use this one also. Okay, anyway, you can do this. This is the publisher. I'm going to create another queue. See, like this, test queue1 is not completed. Like this is going to pop up later. So this is the publisher consumer. Okay, now you are sending the data. If you want, you can send the data this queue. This is consumer data. Okay, because this is publisher data, carry this data on. This is consumer data. Okay, now this is the published consumer. Now you can receive the listener, VM listener, VM listener. This is the listener. Log data. Okay, now you are consuming the data. VM consumer. We can select the VM consumer. Okay, VM consumer. You can try it. Then after that you can use the logger parent. This is the queue communicating this one. This is the queue communicating this one. Okay. Now this is the one we are using. Test queue. This is the one we are using. Test queue1. Test queue. Now you can select after consumer. data is, now we are sending payload, right? Payload. After listener data is, this is logger is up to your wish. I told you, right? It's not a mandatory, but logger is up to your wish. Logger data, it won't carry to the next pallet. Only it is going to log whatever the logger which you are defining, that data is going to be displayed in the console only. It won't carry to the next pallets. Okay, please remember this one. Now you are run the flow. Okay, this is consuming middle of the flow. Okay, now you can send the request. You can verify. After listener data is, hi, how are you? Something went wrong. Just okay, but it was empty. Timeout or something. I'm going to stop and run it. Okay, we are selecting here publish consumer, right? So that is the reason it is getting error on, because this always getting the response. It's not returning the response, right? So that is the reason. Your published message queue, test queue, but got no response after timeout 5 seconds. Because we are not sending any response, so that is the reason throwing an error. Okay, if you overcome this one, you can use this only publisher and consumer only. Or else again you are using one set payload, this payload, and write it here. This is the one we are writing. This is the consumer response. Like this we can write it. Means this is the publisher. This is the published consumer. It always waiting for the response of this one. Again in middle I am going to send to one publisher. This queue always pointing to this consumer, and it is waiting for the response. So that is the reason it got error out. Test queue got there is no response. I am waiting from here only. So that is the reason we are sending this message. After sending this one, if you want, you can increase the response timeout also. 5 seconds is available, right? If you want, you can increase the response timeout. The advanced, this is the timeout only. So only 5 seconds it is waiting. So 5 seconds only. If you want, you can increase the 10 or 20 seconds also, so that it will wait for the more than 10 minutes, 10 seconds or 20 seconds also. So that is the reason it got error out. So based upon this scenario, we need to use the corresponding publisher pallets or consumer pallets and this one. Only the difference is publisher publishing the data and it won't get any response. Publish consumer always waiting for the response. If you want, you can increase the timeout also. And publisher, and one more is listener always allowing the source places. Consumer means it is allowing the middle of the place, and if you want, you can consume in the middle of the place also, you can consume it. So real time also we are using that so many times, so many scenarios in the middle of the place consumer, because they are sending source system sending the data. This is the data, and internally you are going to communicate some other system and collect the data, consolidate whatever the source system sending. Internally you are communicate the other systems, consolidating and return to the target system. This is the scenarios which are facing usually frequently. In that scenario, you can go for the consumer palette. This is the advantage of the VM is the connector. This is also one of the external connectors. This is supported within the project only. Within the project only. If you want to communicate the external connectors, JMS, that I'm going to cover the next classes. So JMS also one more connector. This is the same behavior of the whatever the VM connector which is using, right? This is also same behavior. The only difference is this is the external connectors. We need to install the software, third-party connectors, so third-party software. By using the third-party software, this connector is supporting. But this is supporting with the internal mail server. So that is nothing but a virtual memory connector only. So VM connector nothing but a virtual memory connector. JMS nothing but a Java messaging services. Both are messaging tools only. Messaging concept both are supporting. But the only difference is if you want to run as a JMS, third-party software is required. So all the messages, receivers, performance, and you can be able to monitor over there. But this is the local memory, right? So we cannot do that kind of mechanism by using the VM only. So this is the difference between JMS and VM only. So this all comes under messaging tools. Any doubt, you can let me know. Okay. And one more palette called choice palette. The name called choice palette. Choice is always condition based palette. So condition based palette means, example, if I drag any new project, okay, HTTP or any connector. Now take one variable, set variable, then choice palette. Okay, now example, click on plus, take port number. Okay, just 2 3. You can define a variable. Example, city is any name up to your wish. I'm going to define as a query parameters fx, this one. Okay, control space bar, sorry, control space bar, attribute start. Okay, query params, this is the one, query params, the name of city, and enter. Okay, name of city, done. Now you are defining a variable and you want to consume, right? Here the condition, choice palette is nothing but a condition based palette. If the condition is satisfied, this one is going to be executed. The condition is not satisfied, this is one going to be executed, default one. So there is no limit. If you want, you can use n number of conditions also here. Like this, you can keep it n number of conditions also. There is no restrictions only. But only one condition is going to be satisfied. The rest, if a condition is satisfied, it won't consider about the rest of the things also. If none of the conditions satisfied, then definitely go to the default one. Like this only. You can keep it here. Default one, because there is no restrictions also. Like this, we want to write the conditions here. So first, it will go to the here, this condition verify. Example, I am defining or setting the variable equal name value pair, right? Here I'm going to write vars dot city. I'm going to write here. The vars dot city equal, example, I'm passing Bangalore. Okay, if I'm passing as the input parameter as a Bangalore, this condition satisfied, and it will take, this is Bangalore. Okay, if I'm passing vars dot condition fx vars dot city equal, example, Chennai, and whatever the data which are defined here, right? This is the Chennai. The same way here also. Vars dot city equal Hyderabad. Okay, and it is condition here only. Okay, this is Hyderabad. If If none of the conditions satisfied, then go back to here. Then condition not satisfied. Like this, we are going to write all the conditions. There is no restrictions to maintain in the choice palette. N number of conditions also we are going to define. So this is also one thread. This is also one thread. This is also one thread. So this is the default one. First condition is going back to here only. It is verify. Yes, if the input is Bangalore, take this is the output. Set payload and display the content. If you are not passing other than Bangalore, if you are passing Chennai, this one is executed like this only. If you are not passing all the three conditions, then go to the default one. Whatever the default which is available, that is going to be displayed. This is nothing but a choice palette. So it's the same flow if you want to run. Then what is the query parameters here? Name of city equal query parameters. What is the part here? So 4178, 78, and this is the test 2. Okay, what is the input parameters? Query parameters here. Name of city, right? You can take the name of city here. Name of city. Okay, name of city. Example, if you are passing Bangalore or Chennai, verify. Deploy. Now deploy. You are passing Bangalore. You can see you'll get the output as this is Bangalore. See, this is Bangalore. We are passing Chennai. This is Chennai. If you are not passing other than this one example, then condition not satisfied. This is nothing but a condition based palette which you are using. Then we can go for the condition based palette as a choice. Any doubt here? Choice and VM consumer, VM publisher.
I have a question here on choice side.
Yeah, tell me.
See, here you are using the choice like condition. Multiple operators we can use are only equal to only like equal to, not equal to, or greater than.
No. There are so many things which you are using. Not only equal, greater than also, less than also, not equal to.
So multiple operators we can use.
Yes.
Like just like a database SQL, okay. And what about what about if it is a huge data coming from the source side, and like this flow we use, what will happen? Like maybe example under records as a source, we are taking that and searching for that condition as a Bangalore one time in the first condition palette, and then followed by again one more time 100 we are going to search, and third time we are going to search 100. It is a 3 time of work, is it right? Or do we have some other palettes might be coming later, or this is the only way we used to do?
No, because one time, first job is 100 records, or no, what I'm talking about, the first job sending the 100 records, second job sending 100 records like this. You are saying, or parallelly one second, third. This is how we are expecting the records.
No, like in one stretch itself, we do have maybe under 1,000 record, for example. So in that case, one dump as a source, so it is going to fit into first condition. It is going to read all the 1,000 records, which is Chennai, which is Bangalore, which is not met Chennai or Bangalore. Is it right? First condition is going to search for those records for the specific fields.
No, my question is, I understand. First job that includes the 100 records, and each record we are going to verify. That is what you are saying. First job,
Yeah.
first batch,
So
first batch.
yeah.
Yeah, that is also batch process concept is available. Batching only, batch processing. So if you want to take as a batch level, batch job, batch aggregator, this is the purpose of accepting the how many records you want, 100 records, 20 records, 50 records. So if you want to implement that kind of mechanism, we can use the batch palettes only. So example, first job that includes 100 records, and that each record maybe Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, or something. Then we can each record we are going to verify the condition based also. Then second batch also, after finish the first batch, second batch also coming. Then that include the multiple cities, and the condition based also we can process it on. Or else at a time we are receiving 100 records, and each record is going to be verifying and process it also. That is also we can do that.
Okay. And what about in case of using this batch? Where is this data will be sitting? Is it starting from again from the like a source side onwards, or otherwise is it going to sit in somewhere else, temporary memory somewhere else?
Source side onwards, it is going to be available because there is a palette called batch job only. Let me show you that. This is the source size. Source, if you are consuming the like a database or HTTP file or any connector, if you are placing, then whatever the logic this one like choice palette, you can placing the process places, then we can implement this one. Then example, if you are sending source system sending 50,000 records, but you don't want to process the 1,000 records, then here there is option called, wait a minute, here there is option called, here, batch block size. 100 records we can process inside the batch. After finish the example 100, then take another 100. Like this one we can process.
So, like parallel processing you're talking about. Okay. So simultaneously it will process.
Yes. Processing lakhs of records. So we can split the records as a batches or chunks, then we can process it. This is also batch processing concept where I'm going to cover the later only batch processing. This is what you are expecting? Hello?
Yeah. You are right actually. So other thing is actually that from memory point of view in live, when in the production time. So that's what my another question was actually. If it is a huge data, maybe still we are using a batch with a block sizes, maybe 10 blocks or maybe 15 blocks. So are we going to starting from the start onwards, we are going to read the data, or otherwise the thread what we are going to read from the middle, from there we are going to read? That is only another question actually. So you cleared the first part.
Yeah, that is what I'm going to explain. That is completely because before implementing the batch processing, customer will say that this is the 1 MB, 1 GB records we are sending now. Before receiving also, we are going to split the chunks and processing. Example, in the database we are using, by using database we are using, like a select database, then bulk insert or bulk options are available where we are going to select how many records do I need to process. Example, now at a time you can consume the data 100 MB, that includes the 10,000 records. But 10,000 records you cannot process at a time. Maybe sometimes throwing in error, sometimes it will process. So instead of sending the 10,000 records, you can split the chunks here and process it only to insert the data. This is how, because that is completely depends upon the RAM size, heap size only. They are before implementing batching also, we both are discussing how much RAM size is required, how much heap memory is required. Then we can process the data. The 1 lakh, 2 lakhs record at the same time, if you're processing your local mission, local RAM size, definitely throwing in error. At a time I'm talking about. So to avoid the one, you can implement the batch processing to split the records and you can process it.
Okay. Got it. And another question here is, yeah. So you created that four transformations options like palettes using the choice like conditions already you mentioned. So which is Bangalore, Chennai, and if it is not Bangalore, Chennai, apart from others. So if it is not like a regular, maybe if it is something ASCII format or anything, maybe different encryption data or something is coming up. Is it possible for us to put it into the different queue, or how is it? Like you just put it like whatever is not fitting into the condition, send it to that
No,
third choice.
before implementing the choice condition, any other flow, you know, right, what is they're sending. They based upon it, you can write a flow design. You can design the flow. Other than how you are going to implement. I am designing one flow. How you are going to design it based upon the input? You are going to, if they are passing, if they're not, like whatever saying, like encrypted data also. Anyway, you are getting the requirement based upon the requirement.
But
Okay, if I'm
yeah,
yes, tell me. Tell me.
no, I'm not aware of that. What type of data I might receive? Maybe if it is an alphabet,
Yeah.
maybe English character is fine. So it might
No, that
fit
is
for
what.
our scenario.
If you are not aware of the data, then you cannot implement the flow. Because before
Hmm.
implementing the flow, we need to get the requirements, what kind of data we are receiving. Then was this is the requirement we are receiving. Then if you are not receiving other than this, and then go to the default one. Condition not satisfied. Then later, why the condition not satisfied? Because as per the requirement, I have implemented the flow. Now we got this kind of data. That is the reason it went to the default one. Then if you want to code change is required. That is happened in the
Okay.
real time. In the before if I'm
Yeah.
condition based,
Sometimes
yeah, that is
junk
what.
data also sometimes gets sent.
Yeah, that is the reason I'm not failing the flow. That is going to be default one. Then we can
Okay.
realize why it went to the default one, because of we can go through the input data. Yes, we have implemented as per the requirement. We have implemented the choice based condition. These are the scenarios. But we got this data. That is the reason it went to the default one. Now we can modify. Code change is required. We can implement the whatever the data which you are receiving. Then we can add one more condition based. Then we can avoid this one. That is the reason based upon the if you are designing the flows, always we are get the requirement. Other than this one also, then they are giving that don't fail the flow. Then we can avoid the failing. At least we can handle the one. We can process it on without any error. I'm talking about. That is the reason it went to the default one. We are not failing
Okay.
any flow here. Condition is flow is running smooth, but condition not satisfied. Clear?
Yeah.
Any other doubts? If you are fine, I'm closing today. We'll meet tomorrow for you tomorrow. Okay.
So here, conditions we can write as many, right? Like based on the
Yes.
requirement.
Yes, as many. There is no limit. If you want, you can maintain 50 conditions also. Sometimes I have written the 30, 40 conditions here in the same choice palette. But we don't. We are. This is nothing but people are calling it a one thread. Sometimes we are. They are asked me to configure the 30, 40 target systems also. And that today again tomorrow morning I am going to keep the one VM connectors here. Each VM connector I am going to configure. So we are going to deliver to the VM connector. Tomorrow morning I am going to cover the scenario. So each condition
It's like
satisfied, the message will deliver to the VM only. Again VM
so
send back to the response. Like yeah, tell me sorry.
yeah, it's like a regular programming logic, right? Here.
Yes, the same way. Normally in the programming language also choice condition is available, but they are introduced as a palette wise here. This is the common one. Now, there are many other
Okay.
programming languages people are using choice only. That is programmatically, this is the image point of view, like a palette point of view.
Okay. Okay. So and
This is
I have
nothing but
seen other window. Yeah. So
yeah,
there
tell me.
is other window your tab like is it notepad? So that
This is Notepad plus plus. This
okay.
is the one that you are talking Notepad plus plus editor.
So what is the like relation between these two? Is there a data switching like
Now, which one you are
source and
talking about?
destination? Yeah,
Postman you are
notepad.
talking?
Yeah. Yeah, this one
No,
here. Builder.
this is the one you are talking. Builder. Okay, this is
Yes.
the testing tool. This is a testing
Testing.
tool. Yeah,
Okay.
because we are designing the flows, I want to test my flow whether it's correcting, if I'm passing the data, whether I'm getting the as expected or not. This is the testing tool.
Okay.
So this tool name called Postman. Postman is the testing tool. In real
Okay.
time, also,
Okay.
people are using the Postman only. Most of the projects, people are using the Postman only.
Okay.
Any doubt?
So we need to install Java and then Anypoint and Postman. So are there
Yes.
any tools?
Anypoint platform is not required. That is not a software. That is a completely cloud-based, web-based, cloud-related web-based applications. So no, as of now it's not required. We'll cover later. Till now we are in the studio only for a couple of days. Then after that I'm going to let you know when it is required. Anypoint platform.
So for practice wise, we don't need to install this Anypoint.
Anypoint Studio, Java, Postman. These three is required for practice.
Okay.
Clear? Any doubt? Okay. If you are fine, I'm closing now. We'll meet tomorrow. Okay. See you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.